discussing the early Industrial Revolution in Europe.
Yes, let's go into some major causes of the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, a huge contributing factor was the increase of population.
This increase was caused by a few factors, some of which included the availability of water, coal, and iron.
The availability of these resources led to the byproducts being used. One of these byproducts was coke. Coke was a byproduct of coal. It greatly cheapened the process by which iron was made.
Another cause of this increase of population was the agricultural revolution. This caused an acceptance of more food, and farmers cleared more land for cultivating.
The way the farmers cultivated their land also changed. Sickles, reapers, and cultivators were all invented and improved on.
During this time, large-scale farmers drove the small farms out of business and hoping to expand the boundaries of their farms in order to plant more crops and to raise better livestock. The large-scale farms finished off their lands in a time called the enclosure movement.
One of the big cash crops that farmers grew was cotton. Cotton is a crop that has very prickly leaves and many seeds within the fiber that is used to make clothing. Before the Industrial Revolution, the plant had to be picked by hand, which was a very tedious and painful task.
Next, cotton seeds had to be taken out of the bolls. This process took an extreme amount of time, therefore an invention was badly needed to aid the process. The first invention was the spinning jenny, invented by James Hargreaves in 1764. The spinning jenny drew out the cotton fibers and twisted them into thread. It was very cheap to build and easy for a single person to work.
A man by the name of Richard Arkwright decided to one-up the spinning jenny by inventing the spinning frame in 1768. The spinning frame had the same basic idea as the spinning jenny, it was just way more complex. The spinning frame could produce stronger threads that were used to make yarn. The first models were powered by water, therefore the first models were called the spinning frame.
Next in line of inventions regarding cotton was the cotton gin produced by Eli Whitney.
One of the big cash crops that farmers grew was cotton. Cotton was a crop that had very prickly leaves and many seeds within the fiber that is used to make clothing. Before the Industrial Revolution, the plant had to be picked by hand, which was a very tedious and painful task.
Next, the cotton seeds had to be taken out of the bolls. This process took an extreme amount of time, therefore a new invention was badly needed to aid the process. The first invention was the spinning jenny, invented by James Hargreaves in 1764. The spinning jenny drew out cotton fibers and then twisted them into thread. It was very cheap to build and easy for a single person to work.
A man by the name of Richard Arkwright decided to one-up the spinning jenny by inventing the spinning frame in 1768. The spinning frame had the same basic idea as the spinning jenny, it was just way more complex. The spinning frame could produce stronger threads that were used to make yarn. The first models were powered by water, and they therefore were called the spinning water frames.
Next in the line of inventions regarding cotton was the cotton gin, produced by Eli Whitney. Before the cotton gin was invented, the seeds needed to be hand-picked one by one by slaves. This invention saved a lot of time and caused the profit of cotton to increase.
The use of all three of these machines was called mechanization.
Now we will continue our documentary interview to interview people from the Industrial Revolution. Let's send it to Kelly Haggerty in the field. Kelly.
Hello, Claire. I'm here with Judith from a farm in southern England. Judith, what changes have you seen since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution?
My husband owns a huge farm down south, and these inventions have really helped us out.
What invention specifically?
Well, it started out with the spinning jenny. It helped me save a lot of time and workers, and it hand spins the thread. Next, we built the water frame on the river that runs through our property. This accomplished the same basic thing as the spinning jenny, it just made the process more complex.
What about the cotton gin?
The cotton gin was probably the most influential invention of all. It made the process of getting the seeds a whole lot simpler. This saved me and my husband time and money.
Great, thanks for your time. Back to you, Claire.
That was Kelly Haggerty out in the field, and here I'm joined by Adam Smith. Well, Adam, let's begin. What were your views on Europe's government?
Well, in my latest book, Wealth of Nations, I talked about laissez-faire, in which I believe is a major principle. Laissez-faire is that government should refrain from any economic affairs. This also connects with any small business owners because the economy will snatch them up and create something that can ultimately be destructive to the business and to the economy.
Very interesting. What else can these factors be related to?
Well, with all the businesses, it relates to capitalism and eventually moves into mercantilism with those two causes. It caused multiple problems for citizens. Many philosophers supported my idea of laissez-faire and pulled through and helped many citizens, especially the poor, to improve their part in the government and economy. A new theory has also been developed known as positivism, meaning any economic problem can be solved through science and its methods. This has seen tremendous outcomes already, and with all these factors, society is known as a utopian socialism has been created.
Wow, that's great to hear, Mr. Smith. Thank you for joining us, and now back to Kelly.
I'm here with Mr. Jack White from London. Mr. White, tell me what you think of these new laws that have been created to tame and help our citizens.
These laws have been insane. Riots have broken out because of food prices and shortages, unemployment rates, and working conditions. Now children work in factories because of worker shortages.
What was the law that passed this, Mr. White?
The Factory of 1833, then the Mines Act of 1834, was passed to employ women and boys under the age of 10. Now corn laws seem to be better passed because it lowered wages and food prices, so now people can afford things.
Thank you, Mr. White, for your time. Now back to Claire and Brett.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right, now let's go into Kelly, where she is standing in front of the first ever steam engine.
Let's go.
Steam engine.
When was it created?
It was created in 1781 by James Watt.
Why?
It was first used to pump water out of coal mines in England, but really Watts discovered it by accident and just made changes to new Cummins to make it more affordable.
Interesting. Thanks, Kelly.
No problem.
Speaking of inventors, who was Samuel Morse, Brett?
Samuel Morse was the inventor of the first single-wire telegraph.
Why did he invent that?
Telegraphs were made for communication. It allowed people to communicate with each other without seeing each other for the first time.
Oh, so telegraphs were the first form of communication.
Exactly. The telegraphs got better and better. An electric telegraph was designed by Claude Chappe, and the new inventions were improved on. We've come a long way.
Were there any other important inventors?
Of course, Josiah Wedgwood and Alexandro Volta.
Oh, I know them. I've heard them in the recent news. Josiah Wedgwood created pottery, and Volta invented the battery. Very influential and important.
Yep, exactly. Now let's go to Kelly in the Crystal Palace.
All right.
Welcome to the Crystal Palace here in London.
What is the Crystal Palace?
The Crystal Palace was a cast iron and plate glass building. This place is used to display examples of the latest technology that is developed.
Who designed it?
This castle was designed by Joseph Paxton.
Alright, cool.
Officials this time were working to change the way women are viewed in society. For example, at first women weren't allowed to work in factories. However, conditions were so poor that men caught illnesses and died, so women took the places in the factories. With this, birth rates increased so children could also work in factories.
That's it tonight on WH20, folks. Have a good one.
Tune in next week.